Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat writer for Cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, kind enough to join us. Mary Kay, what'd you make of Johnny Manziel's comments yesterday?
Well, I rolled my eyes at the comments, that I heard him make on your show as far as blaming the Browns, blaming Brian Hoyer, because it was more of the same. It was the Johnny Manziel that I knew and that I was familiar with when I was, covering him in 2014 and 2015, and I thought, this is not a good sign. And then when I saw that he kind of came back on Twitter and he retracted and basically said, it was all my fault, I think that, he realized what he said wasn't going to help him in his bid to try to get back into the NFL. So I was glad to see him reverse field on that. But, I didn't like the fact that he was trying to especially blame Brian Hoyer. I talked to Brian Hoyer at the Super Bowl, and, he said a lot of things about what went on that year with Johnny Manziel that were illuminating as well.
Is there any truth to what Manziel is saying, that he wasn't prepared, that nobody was helping him? He was lazy. Any of this to actually, come to mind and say, yeah, that was actually the way it was when he got in there?
Well, you know what? There was a lot of truth to what he said in terms of the Browns, really not vetting him properly. They did not do a very good job at all. That year, they had Ray Farmer was the GM. He was way in over his head. If you recall, they drafted Justin Gilbert and Johnny in the first round that year, and they were both train wrecks, and they did not do their homework on those guys. So he's very right in that regard. But then when you spin it forward a little bit to the point where he blames the Browns for him being lazy, for him, for them not helping him, well, you know what? It's time to put your big boy pants on when you get to the NFL. I mean, he didn't need Brian Hoyer to hold his hand. Brian learned from Tom Brady, from observing, from watching. Tom Brady wasn't always, sitting over the playbook with Brian Hoyer. That's not how it worked, and that's not how Brian Hoyer learned how to mentor. He had enough on his plate trying to figure out how to get some victories in Cleveland, which he ultimately did do. But, it wasn't his job, to take Johnny by the hand and show him the way. By the time you get to the NFL, you know what you have to do because you've talked to other quarterbacks. You've talked to your agent. You've talked to people. So I did not like the fact that he was trying to blame Brian and to a certain extent at that point the Browns for him being lazy. I will add that they did not do it. The Browns did not do a good job of handling what was obviously going on with Johnny in 2014. They did not. I mean, I remember Mike Pettin, laughing it off when we would ask him, well, so, hey, Johnny's off to Las Vegas, this weekend. And he was like, hey, whatever, good, good for you, Johnny. I mean, it was just, they enabled him. They turned a blind eye to what was obviously going on with Johnny that year, which, as a media, we were all over it. I mean, we were all over it and took a lot of heat for it, actually. But it was so evident that he was struggling with substance abuse even at that time. And, and I don't think the Browns did a great job of managing, that or just the whole Johnny Manziel phenomenon.
Do the Browns have to take a quarterback this year up top?
I think they do. I really think they do. There are so many people that want to see them take Saquon Barkley there, but they can't do that. I mean, they have not taken a quarterback above 22 since Tim Couch in 1999. They really have to go QB with their first pick overall. Now, whether or not they swap that with the Giants or whatever they do, their first selection has to be a quarterback. They have to find the one that they love in this draft and just go grab that guy.
Who do you think it's going to be?
So hard right now. A lot of mixed signals going out there. But I think if I had to make a guess right now, I would still say Sam Darnold. But I do think that these visits are, they're really using them to kind of make their final determination. And I'm sure there will still be some good, healthy debate going on.
But the difference in this front office to the previous one, that you have a new GM, how is Dorsey handling this? It feels like they're a lot more, they're quieter, and that they're not leaking stuff out. And I understand that that's advantageous if somebody else wants to go up and thinks they're going to take Sam Darnold, or they want to get Sam Darnold. But what's different about this front office that you feel a little more confident in?
Well, because they have experience. I mean, you can just look, into that front office and see that there are people there who have been around good quarterbacks, who have been part of drafting really good quarterbacks, who know what they're looking at, who have a track record of talent evaluation, and that's the difference. It's really the first time that I can remember, since I've been covering the team for a long, long time, that they've had really this strong of a front office across the board. And I really think that, they're on the right track in terms of just bringing in good football players. I mean, people talk all the time about a culture change. I think that is so overrated. A culture change happens when you stock a roster with really good football players and they go out and win games.
I love Tyrod Taylor bringing him in. He doesn't turn the ball over. I don't know. Was this a popular decision?
It is a popular decision in Cleveland, but I do think that Browns fans, are always looking for hope. Hope springs eternal at this time of year in Brownstown. It's Super Bowl time for Cleveland with the draft coming up. But I think that people need to be cautiously optimistic. When I talk to people in Buffalo, they didn't want him back for some reasons. And, so I do think that people have to be cautiously optimistic about what Tyrod Taylor can bring. Because if he was going to be the savior for sure, then Buffalo would not have let him walk out the door. So hopefully they can surround him with a lot of talent and a really good defense, add some nice pieces coming out of this draft, support him in every way that they can, and get the best out of him.
Well, I think he's a great, and it's the new phrase sweeping the NFL, the bridge quarterback. Because I don't know if you draft Sam Darnold, does Sam Darnold start in Cleveland?
No, I mean, Tyrod Taylor, the plan is to at least start him for all of 2018. Now, of course, how often does that happen when one quarterback makes it through an entire season? But that's the plan, and that's also why they brought in Drew Stanton, because they don't want Sam Darnold going in week 2 if Tyrod Taylor gets a concussion. They do not want that. So they will plug Drew in there at that point, and they're going to let Sam develop. I mean, Hugh Jackson is coming off of 0-8 with Cody Kessler in 2016, 0-15 with another rookie in Deshaun Kaiser. And if you'll notice, Kevin Hogan has been granted permission to seek a trade. So that would mean all 3 quarterbacks from last year would have been traded away. And they went into their 0-16 season without a quarterback who had ever won a football game as a starter, and with only one who had ever started one.
Talking to Mary Kay Cabot, the Cleveland Browns writer for the Cleveland.com, Cleveland Plain Dealer. I'll leave you with this one, Mary Kay. Would you rather cover a really good team or a really bad team?
You know what? I will tell you. I mean, think about it. The Browns are always in the news, aren't they?
Yes.
I actually have not minded. I mean, for the sake of Browns fans, I would like to see the Browns get this turned around. But it hasn't been horrible as some people might think. It's not, depressing or anything. I take myself, out of that equation and just cover the news, and there's plenty of it.
And you get January off because they're never in the playoffs.
I don't get any time off. I think NFL beat writers now, we have 2 days off in June that I can think of, somewhere around maybe June 24th and 25th.
Keep doing a great job, Mary Kay. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
That's Mary Kay Cabot, covers the Cleveland Browns.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.